morning, boys and girls. Today is Monday, April 20th, and today we are going to be continuing our math with lesson number 19. Before we continue with our lesson, make sure we have our do now. Today is week 4, and since it is Monday, this is the one that you are going to be doing. Remember to pause this video and time yourself for 5 minutes. You may go ahead and begin your do. Alright, boys and girls, now that you're done with your do now, make sure you have your notes page so that you may begin writing the notes for today's lesson. Alright, boys and girls, now we're going to go ahead and continue. So again, today we are doing lesson 19, and our objective is the student will be able to plot data on line graphs and analyze trends. Our key points that we will follow for today is going to be key point 1, read the graph. Key point 2, add missing information. And then at key point 3, we are going to solve. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, boys and girls, and you may go ahead and write down the objective and the key points on your notes. Alright, boys and girls, so we're going to go ahead and continue. So for today's lesson, you are going to be needing lesson 19 template. This should be in your book. If in case it is not in your book, I am going to upload it onto the assignments tab. So that way you can at least follow along in your computer. If you can print it, that's perfect. You can print it so that you can have it with you. But if you don't, you can just follow along in the computer. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at a graph. And I want you to look at this coordinate plane. What can you notice that's different from the ones that we have been doing? Think about it. In this one, as you all can see, our x and our y axis, they have labels. So a coordinate data, boys and girls, can be used to show a set of data like the one you see here. And this is in a form of a line graph. This line graph is about a dog named Fido. And as you can see, we have the title here, Fido's weight. Now, let's think about the info that the graph is showing us. Think about the information. And this goes back to our first, which is reading our graph. So we have to read our graph. And we can see that it shows Fido's weight at certain ages. We see our x-axis shows the age in months, and then our y-axis is showing the weight in pounds. Now we're going to look at the unit. So what unit is being used to show Fido's age? Look at the x-axis. So what we can see here is that there is a label every 4 months. So from 0, it goes to 4, 8, and pretty much it is counting by 4s in our x. Now let's take a look at our y-axis. And I'm going to go ahead and label this X. So I know that's my X and this is my Y. Let's look at our Y-axis this time. What unit is shown there? Here we can see that every line that is labeled, it's showing us pounds. And here it's counting by 20s. So every 20 pounds, we see a label. And this is what's going to take us to key point number 2. We're going to add the missing information. So we know we are counting by 4s here, and then we are counting by 20s here, but we don't have all the information. We have some missing blanks. So here's where we are going to add our missing information so that when we are working, it is a lot easier for us. Again, if you do have this, please make sure you're following along. And you know what? I'm going to change my pen because I can see it. You can barely see it. Let me see if this one is better. Yes, this one is better. I apologize for that. And again, if you were to not have this, you can just be looking at the video and you can be following along on your computer. And then here we know we're counting by 20s, so every line is 10. 10, 20, 30. We're going to fill in the information. so that we have our missing information. Okay, so now we already did our first key point. We read our graph, and then we did key point number 2, which we added our missing information. Okay, so now we can actually move on to our third key point, which is to solve. So when we have data like this, or graphs like this that show data, more than likely we're going to be answering questions that have to do with the graph. So I'm going to be asking you a series of questions throughout this video, and what I want you to do is I want you to actually, when I ask the question, you can pause, think about your answer. If maybe you need to write it out, work it out, go ahead and do that, and then you can press play again on the video and we can see if you got it correct and see if we solved it the right way. So for our first question, I want you to think about this. So we already know just the graph. When he was 0 months, this means pretty much when he was born. When he was born, Fido weighed about 1, maybe 2 pounds, because look where the dot is. So maybe about 1 or 2 pounds at birth. Think about this. How much weight did Fido gain during the first 4 months? I'm going to repeat my question. How much weight did Fido gain during the first 4 months? So think about this. This could actually be a tricky question, because I can already see some of you say, oh, well, how much weight did Fido gain during the first 4 months? So at 4 months, he's right here. That's our dot. This means he was weighing 30 pounds. But Ms. Rodriguez did not ask you how much did he weigh when he was 4 months. My question was, how much weight did Fido gain during the first 4 months? So we have to keep in mind how much he was when he was born. Let's just say he was 2 pounds. So if he was 2 pounds when he was born, and at 4 months he was 30 pounds, what would I have to do to know how much weight he gained in the 4 months? I would actually have to subtract. Very good. I'm actually going to go ahead and get my little notepad here. That way you're able to see. Let me zoom this out a little. There we go. Okay, so if he weighed, let's just say he weighed 2 pounds at birth. But then at 4 months, he was 30 pounds. If I want to know how much he gained during the first 4 months, I would have to find the difference. And we let it, in order to find the difference, we have to subtract. So the answer for this one would be 28 pounds. So because he started with 2 pounds, then we know that it increased all the way to 30. The difference would be 28. So the answer for that would be 28. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Think about this one. How much did Fido weigh at 8 months? This one is actually pretty simple. It's just a straightforward question. How much did Fido weigh at 8 months? So we look at our graph and we can see that at 8 months, if we go all the way up, we can see it's right in the middle between 50 and 60. So that would give us 55 pounds. Very good. So at 8 months, Fido was weighing 55 pounds. So at 8 months, he weighed 55 pounds. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Think of this one. How much did he gain between 4 months and 8 months? And this one, I'm actually going to go ahead and write it, because I want you to think about it and try to solve it in your own. So I'm going to go ahead and write it. How much did Fido gain between 4 months and 8 months? What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and try to find this answer looking at our data in our graph. And once you know the answer, you may press play. All right, so for this one, it's asking how much he gained between 4 months and 8 months. So we know that for 4 months, he was 30 pounds. At 8 months, he was 55. Be very careful with this. It's not asking altogether. I can already see that maybe some of you are going to want to add these two. It's asking between these months. So if at 4 months he was at 30, at 8 months he was at 55. I want to know in between. So if I want to know what's in between, I would have to subtract 55 minus 30. And that would give us 25 pounds. So that means Fido gained 25 pounds between 4 months and between 8 months. Now we're going to move on to another question. Let's see if you're able to answer this one. Again, look at the graph. Make sure you're looking at the graph. Our next question is, did he gain more weight? So again, I'm going to write it so that you can try to solve it on your own. Did he gain more weight in the first 4 months or the second 4 months of his life? Think about that one, boys and girls. Did he gain more weight in the first 4 months or in the second 4 months? Again, pause the video, try to find the answer, and then you can press play. All right, so for this one, think about it. If in the first 4 months, remember, when he was at birth, he was 2 pounds. So we're saying that he was 2 pounds. In the first 4 months, we know he gained 28 pounds. This was the first 4 months. The second 4 months, so from 4 to 8, we know the difference was what? From 30 to 55, there was what? 25 pounds. So the second 4 months, he gained 25 pounds. So when did he gain more weight? The first 4 months or the second 4 months? The answer would be the first 4 months. And then one more question, boys and girls. I want you to look at the graph and think of this question. When did he stop gaining weight? When did he stop gaining weight? So this one could be very tricky because some of you could also think, well, when did he stop? The graph stops here. So when he was 28 months. But that would not be our answer. If you think about it, here our graph, our line graph is increasing. We see it increasing. Then it starts it continues to increase, but a little bit differently. It's a little bit less each time. Once it stands here, we can see that the line is just going straight. Here the line finishes, but we know that if maybe this graph continues, more than likely it would probably continue going straight. So when did he actually stop growing or gaining weight? When he was 20 months. This is when he stopped gaining weight, because from here on, we can see his weight was stabilized. It was the same. So this would be 20 months. That is when he stopped gaining weight. All right, boys and girls. So now that we answered those questions, I want you guys to open your books to lesson 19, problem set. Listen because I have an instruction. What I want you to do for today, I only want you to do problem number 1. We're going to be doing the same thing. Remember to follow your key points. You're going to analyze your graph first, and then you're going to solve and answer the 5 questions for this graph. This is problem number 1. This is the only thing you are going to work on today from your problem set. If you actually look at your problem set, you have question 1 and you also have question 2. Do not work on question 2. I only want you to do question number 1. So you're going to do question number 1 and you're going to do your exit ticket for lesson 19. So you only need to do those 2 things. Alright, boys and girls, so again, just remember, do not do number 2. I only want you to do number 1 and your exit ticket. As soon as you're done, please go ahead and submit your work. And that is it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys with another video on Wednesday, boys and girls. Have a great afternoon and a great morning. Bye.